Welcome to Country Living in Greece. Please help this little channel get started by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. We really appreciate it. All work and no play makes me a dull boy. So, today, I'm going fishing. I'm new to these waters. I used to fish a lot in the island that we lived on before, but now I have to kind of explore and find out where the spots are. I've had a couple tips from friends who are well-known spear fishermen, but there's a lot of areas I just have to search on my own and find my own favorite spots. I used to catch a fish called tsipura in the local language. It's a gilt-headed bream. I have actually seen a couple of very large ones in this area, usually around shallow waters. So I decided first to do that, to kind of snoop around among the rocks. You never know when you might get lucky. But today, actually, I was surprised there were no fish. It seemed really quiet, and the water was pretty murky. We're getting a lot of pollen now, and sands come up from Africa, dry dust that gets into the sea and makes it pretty murky. So after a while, I decided to go further out to a deeper spot that had been recommended to me. Here the waters are from 10 to 14, 15 meters, which is about 45 feet. So going down, you have to depressurize your head. It's also a bit colder down here. I did a few of these dives, looked around, and once again it just seemed like everybody was at some other party. Some days are just like that. The fish are just all gone. That's how fishing is. One day you're lucky, one day there's nothing. It's like playing the lottery. So after a bit of that, I decided I'd just go back to the shallows and see if I could find a bream, what they call sargo here. Finally, I saw a shimmer of silver. It was a kokali, which is a kind of a small amberjack. There were two more, so I got one of them. Well, at least I had a fish for putting on the table today. These are actually one of my favorite fishes too. They're very tasty. Of course, I was still hoping to catch my tsipura. I've seen them around this area at around 2 kilos, that's a sizable fish. But once again, I was feeling pretty lonely. Sometimes I hide behind a rock that's sort of an outcropping that fish gather, and they swim by. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, there's nothing in the sea today. There's nothing. But what if, because you never know, what if a big fat tsipura just came out from the right side? But I didn't really think it was going to happen. And then suddenly, unbelievably, the moment I thought about it, I looked down, and there it was. Unfortunately, it turned, and it only gave me its tail to look at. I had a few colorful words to say that you can't hear because I got a snorkel in my mouth. Just afterwards, the sea gave me a real treat, though. I got to see a sea turtle. He got a little scared and swam off pretty fast, though. Next, I ran into a moray eel. You don't want to get bitten by one of these. They have 2 sets of jaws, like in Alien. The first one latches onto you, the second one comes in and pulls a chunk of you out of your arm or wherever you're unlucky enough to have gotten bitten. Otherwise, things were still looking pretty quiet. There were some gray mullets, none of them really sizable enough to shoot at. And then suddenly, I saw this small school of sea bass. Not the biggest, but big enough to catch. And I had my second fish. So at least we were going to have a decent lunch today. Hardly the spectacular catch, but there'll be lunch on the table today. There was the proverbial one that got away, of course. Had a few adventures, saw a few critters, had fun. Didn't work because today's Sunday. I don't work on Sundays.
Oh, juicy, yeah. Juicy.
Your likes, subscriptions, shares, and especially your comments mean the world to us.